And we are ready. Hello, good evening and welcome. Buenas tardes, saludos y bienvenidos. Estamos muy contentos de que estén aquí. We're very happy to have you here today. And today we do have a special guest with us. We have Miss Maggie Aldana, and some of you will know her from La Hora del Cafecito. She's a wonderful professional. She has a master's on special education. She also has 3 kids, 2 of them with autism, and she is homeschooling her 2 other kids because the oldest is already, working and he's an adult. So she knows a lot about homeschooling. She has a lot of wonderful resources. And not only that, she has her professional background to help us on how to navigate homeschooling during this COVID-19 or this pandemic situation and social distancing and everything that we're going through at the moment. And I know that many parents, just like me, we are struggling with homeschooling our kids, trying to hold a job, full-time job. Those of us who are fortunate to have a job, those that are not working, well, trying to find a job, because trying to find a job is a full-time job. And how do we handle that? And all the uncertainty that we have about fall when the school starts. I mean, what's going to happen? Is it going to be half and half? Is it going to be mandated for everyone to go back to school? Is it going to be mandated to stay in homeschooling? Like, we don't know what's going to happen for the fall and the schools, but we would like to provide you with some strategies for you to use in the event that you decide that your kids are staying in school. If your county decides that, hey, that's an option for you, and you decide to do kind of homeschool during COVID-19, or homeschool as the Florida virtual, or if it's the option of doing, 2 days in school face to face and 2 days in at home. So we still don't know. The only thing is that we, Maggie and I, we do not have the specific information per school district and counties. We do not know. I think most of them still haven't shared with the community what the deal is going to be, but I will encourage you to log in and to look into the your school district as of, what are the choices that they are offering. As we start to know more about it, most likely we will be posting in it on our Facebook for you guys to be informed. But as of now, we do not have that information, and many counties or the school district hasn't provide that information still. There's some nips here and there's, but not, not a specific information. So anyways, how does this work? Basically, this is for you guys. I would like for you to ask us questions, and we'll be more than happy with to provide you the answers. If by any chance we do not have the answer immediately, we will definitely search that information for you, and we'll be giving you the correct information later on, either privately or in the chat, in the comments. Okay, but basically that's how it works. I want you guys to ask us questions. That's why it is a Q and answer, and it's going to be bilingual. So my people, the Spanish speaking, they can also ask questions in Spanish. We both speak Spanish, and we will be able to provide you with the answers in Spanish as well. Excuse me. So, para mi comunidad de habla hispana, básicamente vamos a estar hablando sobre escuela en el hogar. Cómo funciona es que quiero que ustedes nos den sus preguntas y nos dejen saber cuáles son sus preguntas, sus dudas, sus preocupaciones, y nosotros con mucho gusto les vamos entonces a informar y darles esas respuestas. Si por casualidad no tenemos la respuesta inmediatamente, definitivamente vamos a buscarla y se la vamos a dejar saber o a contestar luego, ya sea privadamente o en los comentarios. Lo que sí tenemos que informarles es que nosotros no tenemos la información específica de cada distrito escolar. Así es que les motivamos a que ustedes vayan a la página web de su distrito escolar para buscar más información sobre cómo van a ser las alternativas cuando se abra la escuela ahora durante el nuevo año escolar en agosto. ¿Ok? So, tenemos una información básica que queremos compartir para comenzar el programa. We do have some basic information that we want to share just to start the program as you guys start asking us questions, okay? So, Maggie.
Let's see. Just to start off with, I know that I've had some questions about the difference in schooling. Myself having taught in traditional, schools and public schools. Now I'm homeschooling my children. My oldest did graduate from high school, and he also participated in virtual school. And there have been questions about what is the difference between, traditional school, virtual schooling, homeschooling, and I've also fielded questions from parents that are wondering if what we've been doing from March until now is considered homeschooling. They don't want any part of it. And I wanted to say that what we've been doing, like, for lack of a better term, quarantine schooling or COVID schooling is totally different than what traditional homeschooling is. So I don't want, I wanted to clarify that what we have been going through for the past 4 months is not what traditional homeschool is like. And my kids have had to adapt to not being able to participate in co-ops where they have other kids that are being homeschooled as well, or not being able to participate in field trips or going to different learning, having different learning experiences in the community. So there's been a lot of stress with what's going on with traditional schooling, and homeschoolers have had their own stressful changes to their routine as well. Mm-hmm. And it's been a change for everyone that's involved. So if there's any questions about what is different in homeschooling or quarantine schooling, I can touch upon that. Traditional schooling is going face-to-face. I've heard that there may be hybrid programs depending on the county, where there might be some face-to-face days going back to school in the fall. Other counties may be considering virtual schooling as the full-time option, and it just depends on where you're at. As far as homeschooling, I can also answer questions with that. So I want to remind parents to just keep an open mind about what their options are. I know that you have a lot of questions regarding the formats. There's a lot of unanswered questions. We don't have the answers right now, but we're certainly keeping our eyes and ears open so that we can forward the information to you. Jasmine mentioned that both of us, we do a Friday morning Facebook Live to answer questions, and we've recorded our episodes. Some episodes are bilingual in English and in Spanish.
That is correct. And Maggie, like you said, it's very important. I mean, there's a difference between what happened with the COVID-19, and out of the sudden, we as parents are, homeschooling our kids and trying to navigate that, especially our special education children, it requires more attention, more one-on-one assistance. And that's totally different from Florida Virtual School, which is like the homeschooling program that your kids has been doing. There's two different things. versus, face-to-face school.
Yeah.
Um,
I do want to clarify, my kids do not do Florida virtual school.
okay.
My oldest did,
Did your
my
oldest?
oldest who graduated from public school
Okay.
did Florida virtual school. But my kids do more of a traditional homeschool model where
Okay.
I deliver the lessons to them and I get to choose their curriculum.
Mhm.
And they do get some classes through the co-op here in Hillsborough County, which is amazing. You know, it's over 500 families that
Awesome.
are part of the Tampa Bay Heat, and that's who they get to interact with children and through that homeschool group.
And
So there's different homeschool groups in different communities. That's just the one that we participate in.
and that's one way of for the children to keep those social skills, especially for our kids with autism, which is a very important area and a challenging area for them, to learn those appropriate social skills. And sometimes as parents, we worry like, oh, so if my child stays at home, how is he or she is going to learn how to develop those social skills?
Yes, and you and I have had those conversations where
Mhm.
we notice that our kids are ending up we're more of their social activities coordinators
That's
because
me.
they end up having friends and they're like on Zoom calls or like doing FaceTime lives because they're interacting with their friends, and I think they've kind of adapted quicker than even us as adults have had to
Mhm.
try to figure out the technology. I know that my son and daughter, they're still meeting up with their friends every day that they've met through the co-op, and
Mhm.
so they play and they talk and they learn, and they're in my living room on the screens every day, and I've noticed that, at least with my son who was going through speech therapy, and we struggled for so long to get him to talk.
Mhm.
He was able to adapt. Now, all kids, I understand that not all kids are are able to pivot so quickly, but it has been very interesting to see the change, and hearing all of the conversation that's going on, that that um that they're just thriving, actually. So
That is correct. And at the beginning of all this, one of the things that my daughter was telling me is that, oh, I miss my friends, and but like just like what you just said, I mean, they are so skillful with electronics, and they started to do Zoom meetings. Actually, one of them they asked me to download Google Duo or something, and that's how they have been able to keep connected. And one of the things that it has been helpful, even though I'm not very um, for it, it's the video games. That has been another way for them to stay connected. So they do Zoom videos or Zoom meetings, and they play video games as they are in the Zoom meeting, and that has been helpful to develop those social skills and to stay connected, and also to learn to set boundaries. Um, like in my daughter's case, sometimes she tells me, "Mom, I feel overwhelmed because my friend doesn't understand that I need a break." And it's kind of funny because the way that she says is that he needs to understand that I do have a life, I do have responsibilities that I have to complete, throughout the day, and he doesn't understand that. Um, and so teaching them how do you set your boundaries, how to be fair, how to address those concerns in an adequate, proper way, um, and all those areas. And it has been um, it hasn't been as bad. Of course, I learned to be more flexible, especially with the video games. Like before, the tablet was, you don't touch a tablet unless there's like big time situation. Usually it's a long, like a road trip, or if we need to go to the hospital, which at least to keep her entertained or whatever. But now that's her way of, staying social. Like, I cannot isolate her totally from everything, and she needs that connection with her friends. Not only her, we all do. We totally all do. And another thing that I need to learn, when out of the blue moon, I had my kids in here and I need to homeschool this girl, and I have to work, and all at the same time. It's like two full-time jobs at the same time. I needed to learn to develop a routine, a structure. I need to learn to set up time. I need to learn to create an environment, like a learning environment. I needed to learn to be flexible, learn to pick my battles, and basically it's like, as long as you're learning and you're learning something. I used a lot of educational videos from YouTube, and we have learned so much about history, about science, all areas of science, like body parts. She loves a lot of science and body parts, and animals. She loves animals. Excuse me. And another thing is that resources that have been available for the parents, like free of charge, like educational summer camps. She had this summer camp with this guy that is, about animals and all that stuff that she loved. She knows that she watched him before, and it was a class with him, and she was amazed. And she asked questions, he answered the questions, and she was like, felt the most important person in the whole world because he answered her questions. Um and they are all free of charge. I have not paid for anything at all, and it has been fantastic. But we have learned to create that schedule, and also for her to adapt to the new schedule, which is, it takes time for our kids with disabilities.
Yes. And you've touched on so many different topics just in sharing what you did about your experience of having to pivot from working outside the home and having your daughter go to the charter school, and then having to bring that together, and kind of like, without even thinking, we kind of were thrown into the situation right after spring break. And there was a lot of adapting to the new routine and new learning environment that you had to go through. And I can imagine there was a good amount of stress in trying to figure out how you're going to get all of the work, the assignments and lessons that she was expected to complete until last month when school ended. Um, but you brought up a good point where, also you pointed out that there's so many opportunities. You mentioned, for her to learn how to set boundaries. You know, being at home with our kids, we can be part of their conversations more with their friends, and if they're struggling with how to maybe how to address a challenging conversation, or maybe someone they turn inwards, and so they get quiet, and you have a wonderful opportunity as a parent to go up to her and say, hey, how are you feeling? Or, I see that you're quiet right now. What happened? Is there something I can help you with? Because sometimes our kids, they have the feelings, but they may not have the words, and we can now help them come up with the vocabulary on how to interact with their friends, and also how to develop those relationships and those friendships. And another thing that you mentioned was the low cost of the activities. There's almost low cost or no cost involved with so many activities being posted online. So it sounds like you definitely were able to find ways to work, with your daughter, with the situation that you have on hand.
Yes.
Being flexible and open-minded is probably the best asset trying to figure out, you know, like, and also being open-minded. You mentioned that finding a routine. Can you tell us about like how you maybe set up your work day? Because I know that I'm homeschooling, but you're also, you know, homeschooling and have set work hours or amount of work that you have to do. Do you get to do a lot of the work during the morning, in the afternoon? Do you break it up during the day so you can work with your daughter?
So I had at the beginning, I wanted to set this kind of a school schedule, like at this time you do this, at this time you do that, at this time is, that didn't work. It was very stressful for her. It was stressful for me. And then I was like, okay, we need to change this. So one of the things that I did is that she's not very a morning person. So I woke up very early and I started to work very early. The latest that I can start working is at 7, and she usually gets up like around 11. So I worked from 7 to 11, and at 11 it was, you know, I took my break and morning routine and all the stuff. And then I was letting her know, okay, this is what we're going to be working on now. Like, let's say, for example, math or reading. I will give her something that if I had to do something from work at the moment and I couldn't sit down with her one-on-one, so I will give her something that she was able to do by herself, like independent activity. It could be watching a video about, I don't know, YouTube video. Like we watch a video about the 4th of July, which is just what happened, and what do we celebrate, you know, or about space, or about she loves human body. So whatever it is. So, but after that, she needed to tell me about that video, or make a fun activity. It could be a comic strip, or she can draw. She loves to draw, or something fun that she can represent and show me a craft. What did she learn on the video? And then she has to present that to me. If it's a drawing or comic strip, so what is it? What happened? And I will ask her questions about it so she can elaborate. And in that way, I was making sure that she understood or comprehend. She was paying attention, you know, to the video. So that's one of the things that I did. If I needed to sit with her one-on-one, that was then after work, and because she was going to bed a little bit later, so I had the flexibility to, after work, sit down with her one-on-one and do math. For example, it's a one-on-one that it has to be like that. Another thing that she does is practice violin. So that was another activity that I will that she could do independently. Another area is writing. So that was kind of half and half. I need to check whatever she writes, and sometimes I need to teach her, okay, this is the proper way of writing. So, but as she's writing it, you know, I have my time also to do what I need to do. And reading, you know, she can read by herself. So that was another area that, so we kind of balance it out. And again, a lot of all those videos that that I was talking about, that she can watch the videos, or the homeschool type of activities, or summer camps, virtual summer camps, or virtual education that she has been doing, and that gave me the time. But yeah, I needed to learn to pick my battles. I needed to learn to be flexible about it. And again, I needed to learn about, okay, what do I want to accomplish? I want her to learn. You know, I noticed where she was at, and I took it from there. Okay, so in math, for example, she's at a, I don't know, second grade level. So we're gonna do second grade level, which is something that she masters. And then we're gonna do third grade level, and then we're gonna go back to second, and third and second, third and second. So easy, hard, easy, hard, easy, hard. So it avoids the frustration. It avoids for her to be like, I don't like math. I'm not good at math. No, you're good, because look how you're doing in here, but this is the challenge now. So we have been doing like that. And breaks, that's another thing. We set up a timer or a time that we're gonna do I don't know, 30 minutes of math, and then we're going to take 10 minutes of break. And during those 10 minutes is for her to do whatever activity she enjoys to do, either drawing or playing, whatever she wants. And then we're going to go back. Now we're going to do writing for 30 minutes or whatever time, and that's how I was able to handle it. Yeah.
That's fantastic. And I think you mentioned something that's really important there. When kids are working at home and you're setting up an environment for learning at home, we're not recreating the school environment inside our home. That's their safe space. So maybe we need to be a little bit more flexible and allow them time to sleep in, especially with all of the studies that have been coming out. I keep up with sleep studies, and they're saying that our middle school and high school students aren't getting enough sleep. Maybe use this as an opportunity to be a little bit more flexible. Give them time in the morning to sleep in. It gives you time as a working mom to get some work done, and you have they have some time to get some independent work done. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, when you're done with your work day, they can get some of the one-on-one time. Just because kids spend 6 or 7 hours learning in the school building doesn't mean they need to sit 6 or 7 hours in front of the computer, especially if they have special needs. I really encourage our parents to break up the day, regardless of what choice they make, to have an area in the home where they can decompress. The kids can choose, if they like to, dance and sing and have musical instruments, maybe set up a nice welcoming area where they can, be as loud as they need to be in order to work off the stress from the day. Or if your child responds better to a calming environment, have a place where they can go and just turn down the lights, maybe with dimmer switches, or, maybe have a lamp versus the overhead lights, just a smaller lamp, and they have a cozy little area where they can just, sit down and read a book or listen to soft music. Take cues from your kids, and I hear that you're doing that for your daughter, and this applies for all, a lot of kids. A lot of kids can benefit because the amount of stress that's going on with the adults, they feed off of that energy that you have. So if you're stressed, don't be surprised if you're having behaviors.
That is correct. And we have some questions over here, Maggie, that they would like us to answer. We have Jan Jones. She said, I am really confused about all this. I have a 14-year-old grandson with an IEP starting high school, and I am his guardian. His grandmother at 68 years old. If Miss Jan, if you could please give us more specific about what are you confused about? If provide us a little bit more details about your questions, and we will be more than happy to answer those questions. We have Jessica. She is telling us that we made the decision to homeschool my daughter with ASD this year prior to COVID-19. This decision was made with the thought that her younger brother will continue with public school. He has ADHD and his own behavior and emotional challenges. Now that we are in the midst of a COVID-19 crisis, he will be home with us, either e-schooling or homeschooling. Although I am also a prior middle school educator, this is new for me. What advice do you have for families looking at managing educating children on different grade levels, as well as having different cognitive and behavioral challenges?
Jessica, thank you so much for asking that question.
Mm-hmm.
It is very challenging to have to navigate different grade levels, and I'm not gonna I'm not gonna like give you false expectations, but it's not as challenging as we may think it may be, especially if you include um, some interest-based learning. Now, he does have his own behavior and emotional challenges, is what I'm reading
Yeah.
on the screen. Have you, I would have questions. Have you, has he been getting any support, outside support, like through therapy? Or what was the school doing for him? Just to start off with, and maybe we can brainstorm ideas from there. Also, there are ways to navigate different grade levels. Like I have a 6-year-old and a 12-year-old, for example, and a 20-year-old. And I kid with everybody because my 20-year-old doesn't go to college, but he is. I say that I'm homeschooling him too because we do book studies, and there are expectations for him to be reading and discussing books on, maybe, how to set up budgets and independence. So you do have to, there are times that you have to set aside for your kids. There is one-on-one time that your children will need from you. How much of that time will depend on the needs of your child. There's activities that I do with my kids, like science and social study activities. They can discuss science topics, or whether it's environment, or it could be social studies, like different levels of government, different geography. Those can be done multi-age. You can just adapt the questioning for an older child or a younger child as appropriate. They're a little bit more flexible. Things like math and reading would be a little bit more individualistic. I know this from teaching. I was a resource teacher for K through 5. I did resource for both ESOL and gifted education. My specialty was twice exceptional kids. So I had kids multi-age and all different developmental stages and academic abilities. And even then I was able to find a middle ground on based off of interest. Does this help? Please let me know in the chat box if this helps a little with your situation, giving you a little bit of ideas. If you needed some more specific answers, please go ahead and ask the question, and I'd be more than happy to get back to you.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. She said that the child is, he's still seeing his therapist. And she said, we are doing homeschool summer school right now.
Yes.
But Jessica, we would love to, probably it would be good if we can have like a call and, address those one-on-one specific questions, especially with the cognitive and behavioral challenges that probably you, Maggie, can help her with the how to provide education according to different ages. And I can help her with the cognitive and behavioral challenges that she's having with the kid, and kind of create a program to target both areas. So yeah. I'm going to write Jessica, my phone number, so you can give us a call.
And I see that you mentioned that I've found right now that we're having less issues because I have made our learning more lax.
Yes.
I worry about once school starts back up, especially for eSchool. I will tell you that yes, there are a variety of factors that affects student learning and student anxiety levels, especially when they're in school. Now, if your son has he been doing eSchool in this prior semester, or was he just doing traditional school up until this last semester?
We went to homeschool my daughter with ASD, but I guess I don't know. she didn't specify that information. Um,
Mhm.
but it seems that she decided to start homeschool now that for the next school year, the
Yes.
upcoming school year.
I can tell you I had the experience of having my child when he was in second grade and going into third grade just in tears because you know when they were in traditional school they're holding it together the whole day, and maybe you might not get behavior calls you know during the day, but they've kind of try to hold it um, together the whole day with emotionally, that when he came home he felt safe, that he could, you know, just be
Decompress.
himself and decompress. But then there was a lot of tears involved with that, which was heartbreaking. When we transitioned to homeschool, I think I was a little bit more uptight and I had the routine because I was going with the traditional school mentality of like, okay, I got to introduce a subject, I got to get so much done, I have to get all these standards in, and I have to get it done by, you know, the 9 weeks. And I had to shift my mindset that I wasn't going to be, you know, doing, you know, like just picking up where he left off. I had to really figure out where he was. And when it wasn't, I think it was probably a year in where I met with the homeschool evaluator, and she helped me kind of like decompress. And I realized that I was putting a lot of pressure on myself and on him versus really getting to know where it was that he was at and where he needed the support. Even and this is even as a teacher that worked with a lot of kids, you know, in the traditional classroom. So homeschooling has been beneficial because for us as a family, where I know that it's not necessarily me being more lax, but meeting him at the level where he was at academically and challenging him there. So like your daughter, my son was not very, you know, he enjoys math a little bit more than reading, but reading, if you show him a book, he's like, you know, that's it, I can't do it, I don't know how to read. But learning where he was and just taking it a day at a time and just trying, you know, to improve just 1% more than where we were yesterday. Maybe instead of reading for 30 minutes, you start with reading for 2 minutes. And then next week, hey, I need you to read something for 3 minutes, and gradually building up that ability to read for, you know, 15 to 20 minutes for whatever the grade level is, you know, that grade level expectation is.
And also the flexibility. I remember that you told me once that he was reading with his head up, like like type of upside down,
Yes.
laying down on the sofa, but half of his body like, you know, bending and like, you know, and those are things that they cannot do.
I can tell you,
my daughter cannot do that in her classroom, even though it's a flexible school.
and it's interesting, you know, because sometimes our kiddos, you know, like if he gets stressed because I'm making him read something, he would go or do homework or something that he felt uncomfortable doing. He would go to the couch or go to recliner and be upside down, and he would end up getting the work done. But that was his way of coping, and we wouldn't fight about it. But then, you know, as a parent, you have a choice. Do you just say, hey, you need to do it at the dinner table sitting with a pencil in your hand, or okay, do it on your iPad, you know, maybe using a support like Khan Academy or something to get the work done, just to see where they're at, and they're choosing and they're doing the multiple choice. So if the objective is to see if they have mastery, does it matter if they have a pencil in their hand, or does it, you know, or an iPad and they're clicking? You know, it's you got to pick one objective and then go with that. So I decided I wasn't going to argue, no, you can't do it upside down, no, you got to be sitting at the table. If he got the work done, he got the work done. And it was me that needed to be flexible and adaptable at that moment, you know?
That is correct.
And
We have
so,
another question. This one is in Spanish. It's Yadira. Ella dice que soy la mamá de 2 niños con autismo, uno en kinder y uno en segundo. Y al igual estoy con 1000 dudas para tomar la decisión de homeschool, no educación a distancia como es la otra opción ahora. Ella dice que he buscado información acerca de las regulaciones que debo seguir. Si refuerzo los servicios de terapia, no sé qué hacer. So, ella está buscando más bien información sobre, para ella poder tomar la decisión de hacer homeschool, más bien homeschool, no educación a distancia, como sería, me imagino que ella se refiere al FLDS, ¿no? Ella quiere hacer más homeschool y ha buscado información sobre las regulaciones. So, entiendo yo que ella necesita más información sobre cómo, información sobre cuáles serían las regulaciones que los niños necesitan completar para si están en homeschool. Y de esa forma para ella poder seguir reforzando los servicios de terapia. O sea, que a ella le gusta, aparentemente, según lo que entiendo, Itza, y me corriges, es que a ella le gustaría que los niños siguieran los servicios de terapia con más tiempo, y entonces al ella poder, y de esa forma ella puede entonces poner los niños en homeschool y los niños pueden recibir más terapias.
see, do you want to go ahead and translate in English too? We'll do that one bilingual because I think it's a good question, you know,
Yes.
so we can answer.
Yes, we have a mom and she's asking about, she would like for her kids, she has 2 kids with autism, one is in kinder and one is in 2nd grade. And she would like for the kids to participate more time.
Just doing traditional school up
sorry.
until this last semester. I was trying to click.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you can.
I apologize.
No, that's okay. We cannot click reply to you guys because if not, it will create a feedback on us.
I will post resources after the call. This is, you know, we're learning how to do this live.
So we cannot click reply. So we can comment, but we cannot reply to your comments. So she would like for her kids to spend more time in therapy and to have more therapy time. So she would like to know about what are the expectations in case that she decides to homeschool her kids, not the FLBS, but to homeschool her kids. Like, what will be the expectation from the state or the Florida Department of Education, you know, for that to be counted as like the kids are completing an education at home.
Okay. First I'll do it in Spanish and then I'll do it in English.
Okay.
Itza, saludos. Yo hago, mis niños están haciendo el homeschool. Mi hijo tiene autismo y él califica para una beca del estado que se llama el Gardner. Y con el Gardner Scholarship, ellos le dan dinero a los padres para que tengan dinero para cubrir los libros, los materiales que necesiten como el currículo, también para terapias, también cubre cualquier tecnología que necesita comprar si necesitas como una computadora para que haga sus clases que completa sus lecciones. También cubre diferente como los recursos que uno puede, programas que uno puede coger por el internet, como clases de internet que le da otros maestros, cubre eso. hay mucha información y eso era lo que yo iba a poner en los comentarios. Y cuando salimos de este programa, yo le puedo poner el link ahí debajo de su respuesta para que tenga más información. Ahora sí le puedo decir que creo que la fecha de aplicación para el Gardner Scholarship ya ha pasado.
Yeah.
Estoy casi segura.
Sí, ya pasó.
Que
Sí,
ya pasó,
ya
pero
coge Gardner.
si es algo que va a seguir hasta el otro año, aplique, consiga la información, aplique y entonces cuando lo aceptan, entonces tienes la opción de no aceptarlo o sí aceptarlo si quieres seguir con el programa de homeschool.
Sí.
Eso sería lo que le recomiendo porque es mejor tener la opción de poder seguir, debe de quedarse sin la oportunidad de poder participar en este programa.
Yo le puedo
Acerca de
poner
las regulaciones.
el link también de la información de las becas que nosotros tenemos, que está la Gardner, que es a través de AAA y también está a través de Step Up. So, le puedo poner los dos links sobre toda esa información.
Sí.
Para que ellos lo tengan.
Y acerca de las regulaciones, y esto le va a contestar la pregunta a Jessica que preguntó también. El Estado requiere que los padres enseñen prueba de que esté aprendiendo en la casa, mantener un portfolio de qué son las actividades educacionales, incluyendo qué es lo que están leyendo. Entonces, si sacas libro de la biblioteca, eso es bien fácil porque tiene un resumen al final de año. Uno puede decir, bueno, estos son los libros que yo chequeé. Portfolio debe de tener ejemplos de qué es lo que están escribiendo, qué es lo que han completado, si es en el libro o si es por programa de online, como por ejemplo Khan Academy o iExcel. Eso, ellos hacen la respuesta y trabajo ahí en la computadora y tienen los records que uno puede enseñarle a una evaluadora al final de año. Necesita tener permiso de condado. Cada condado, yo vivo en Hillsborough, entonces yo tuve que mandar una carta diciendo que yo por este año y todos los años uno tiene que el primer año uno manda una carta diciendo que va a hacer, que lo va a sacar de la escuela pública y lo va a mantener en la casa. Los años siguientes uno consigue una evaluadora que repasa todo el trabajo que hizo durante el año y entonces ellos firman, te dan un formulario y ellos firman que repasaron y que enseña que ha avanzado un año a la habilidad del niño. ¿Okay? No es un año escolar, es un año a la habilidad del niño. Por ejemplo, mi niño está en 6º grado este año, pero está leyendo, cuando lo conseguí, saqué de 3er grado, él estaba leyendo como de kinder, pero él avanzó hasta el 1er grado conmigo. Entonces, eso demuestra un año de avance que aprendió. Si estuviera en una escuela, todavía hubiera estado atrasado. Entonces, solo tengo que enseñar que mejoró un año a la habilidad a donde él estaba. Nosotros lo encontramos más fácil porque yo le estoy empujando y yo creo que está aprendiendo más ahora, más rápido. Y ese es solo ejemplo de él. El proceso de evaluación es bien fácil. Usualmente lo puede hacer en persona con una evaluadora. Hay algunos evaluadores que lo hacen por una llamada de Zoom y uno le manda ejemplos de qué es lo que ha hecho los niños. Espero que eso y puedo ponerle un link después de la llamada de a dónde puede ver qué son los requerimientos. ¿Ok? Pero es más fácil de lo que uno espera. Eso sí.
Y hablando de eso, ahora cambiando el inglés, Maggie, we have Jessica Rose that she says, for the portfolios, how do you track online learning and activities? Also, are there any curriculums programs like physical or online that you have found especially helpful? Oh, yes.
Yes. So Jessica, my kids are my son, in particular, like I have, um, my 12-year-old has autism, and he and pencils do not seem to have ever gotten along, when it comes to doing workbooks. So for him, I do online learning, through different um, software programs, whether it's iExcel or um, Khan Academy for math. And I supplement, through what we do interactively here at home, you know, one-on-one. I do use like Khan Academy, like just to test mastery, where, just for me to see where he's at, engage where his learning is at, for example, with math. And you have the ability to print reports, and it shows what day they logged on, how long they were logged on for, how many questions they answered, how long it took for them to answer the questions. So if he's having difficulty with, for example, reading is not his forte. So if it's a word problem and he's taken like 15 minutes, is it really a math issue, or is it because he's having trouble comprehending the wording and the problem? And I'm able to address that with him. The portfolio, we'll go ahead and post a link for the Florida Department of Education. The portfolio requirements is basically keeping a log of the work that they've been doing, having a reading list, what books they've been reading aloud, keeping track of the books that they read. Depending on the age or ability of your child, you can just have a folder where you just write down, what the book is and how many pages they read. You got to keep the information available for 2 years, and then you meet with an evaluator. I will tell you, I was like, having the teaching background, and they got to be testing, and they got to be at a certain level by the end of the year. I was that crazy lady mom, where I was really pushing. I made myself a little bit more crazier that whole first year of homeschooling. And once I met with our evaluator, who was amazing and wonderful, and she talked me down, and she's like, Maggie, you really have to just go off of his ability level, instead of just like trying to like rush him through to catch up with where he was grade level wise. Just really, as long as he did 1 year's growth, then take a breath, relax, you're doing great, and meet him where he is. Just try to do a little bit better than where he was yesterday. If you have to revisit something, that's the wonderful thing about homeschooling. You can go back and revisit a subject, and then they'll surprise you where they kind of speed up with the next 2 lessons, and I've been able to see that and actually practice it, and it was beneficial for him. So just that was just a personal example of my son, where he was not as talkative, and he was nonverbal till he was 5, and we were trying to reach words and get his thoughts, kind of like, here, this is how you trying to empower him to communicate with us. Now he's a chatterbox. Like, all kids are different, but we noticed that for him, not having that pressure helped him open up a little bit more. I hope that answers your question on both on expectations and also with requirements. I will post that link for the portfolio, but I do think that you will be surprised on how less stressful it really is. I think we're kind of like overthinking it. We like to keep samples of work, like, writing samples, maybe worksheets. I take a lot of pictures during when they're doing a hands-on project. Maybe it's not something that is written that I can put in a file, but as he's doing a project, I'm taking pictures of him researching or video of actually what he's doing. And that counts for your portfolio as well, if you don't have something that's physical to turn in. So, and everything's a learning opportunity. Just a little, just last week, we found a baby blue jay, in the driveway. And I had him, I'm like, hey, I don't know what kind of bird this is, I don't know how to take care of him, and what can we do? And so he applied his research skills on, like, oh, I can go on the computer, I can look at this. And so I was taking pictures of him, actually doing the work and figuring out what our next steps would be. And so, everything can be a learning opportunity when presented in that manner. And so I suggest that, as take videos, take pictures, and stick that in there, because that was work that he did that wasn't planned as a learning experience, but he was still demonstrating an ability to do research.
Yes, and that happened. Something like that happened to us too. Like, my little one noticed that there was this bird, and she had a nest and some eggs, and she would check every day. Did they hatch? Did they hatch? And well, after that, she had an incident. She couldn't go downstairs, but then when she was able to go outside again, they were not there anymore. So they did hatch. So actually, we saw them today, and she saw them, the little birds and mama bird, and it was kind of cute. But that will be like, okay, do you know how does it work? Do you know what the process with the birds and the nest and hatching, and what's the whole thing, and what's going to happen now that they hatch and all that? So that was a learning experience. So that was science right there. So we search it out, we Google it, we look at videos. I learned too, because it doesn't mean that we know how. Yeah, no. So and that was just, was it planned? Not at all. I didn't even knew that was over there. She was the one who found them, and it was a total science learning experience for her that she loved, that she liked, and she didn't know about it. The from the NASA, the rocket that went all the way up, and she was able to watch it live and all that. And that was another learning experience, and it was live. And then we learned about the space and what NASA is doing out there. And but I mean, it was a wonderful experience.
And I'm glad you brought that up. My son brought that question up. He's like, Mom, we watched the launch yesterday. And this is a question he brought up yesterday. He's like, we watched the launch go up last month. How long are the astronauts going to be up there? When are they coming back? I'm like, that's a good question.
Let's search it up.
Let's find out, you know? And so if I think if we learn to just take a step back and create that curiosity and present them with information, kind of like all those science videos. My son surprised me because he was like, oh, Mom, that's a wild bird. He's like, capture, raise, release. And I looked at him like, okay, where did you learn that from? And, I know that we watch a lot of these videos, but he could have probably watched, a documentary 6 months ago, 12 months ago, where you're thinking, I don't know if he actually, grasped it. Did he understand it? And when the moment presented itself, I then had evidence of his comprehension from what we did months ago, where he's like, oh no, capture, raise, release. We can't keep him. He needs to go back, with his family. And which we did, he went back. His mom, the parent birdies found him and were feeding him and everything, and just fine. And we recorded that. And so there's a lot of opportunities there.
Yeah,
just document it. Do what we do naturally as parents, and just take pictures and videos of all that stuff and compile it and make it fun for the kids.
And our kids, and not only our kids, like we all do, we all have different learning styles, and and that's amazing. And it's through, like you were saying, curiosity and creativity that, and most of us, we are visual learners, that we learn a lot through those, like hands-on, creativity, curiosity, watching, looking at stuff, and applying those stuff. I mean, we learn a lot like that. That stays in your brain. And I think our kids definitely are not different. It is 8 o'clock. I'm going to put my contact information, my email, and my phone number. So please feel free to contact us or contact me with more specific questions. I know that there's some question over here that we would like to provide more specific details. So feel free to contact us, and we will be more than happy to provide you with the answers individualized to your needs.
Yes.
I'm going to say that in Spanish. So, ya son las 8. Si tienen alguna otra pregunta, voy a poner como siempre mi número de teléfono y mi correo electrónico. Por favor, siéntanse en la libertad de enviarme un correo electrónico o darme una llamadita y dejar un mensaje con su nombre y su número de contacto. Y con mucho gusto vamos a responderle la llamada y las preguntas específicas a su situación individualizada y poderle proveer los recursos según a su situación individualizada.
And did we have any more questions? I was having trouble like scrolling through to see if there was any.
No, yeah, Itza said thank you, and Jessica also said thank you. But other than that, that's all I have been checking. And from the Spanish group, I don't have any questions.
Well, I'm glad this was really helpful for everyone y me da mucho gusto que pudimos estar aquí y contestarle las preguntas que tenían. Por favor, hagan sus comentarios ahí. Apenas que terminemos este live, vamos a poder poner los recursos que pudimos, que teníamos ahí para los padres, de los portfolios, de la beca para el programa de Gardner y cualquier otra información que necesiten, por favor pongan hagan un comentario abajo y Jasmine y yo vamos a asegurarnos que le mandamos la información. So thank you very much for having us. This was new for us. This is a new format. Normally we're live Friday mornings, maybe doing an interview or covering topics that about autism and setting up, spaces for your families. If you have any questions or comments, please put them down below. We'll give you the links to resources, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any other questions, maybe we'll do another one once school starts and you have more questions, and hopefully we can get those answers out to you. But please stay linked up to CARD, and we'll give you as much support as we can do, especially when we transition, now from the summer into the back to school season.
That's correct. Yeah, definitely. Well, I really appreciate. I just put the survey for today's event. It's in English and Spanish. And please, like Lourdes will say, un favorcito. If you could please, it's going to be less than a minute. It's 1 to 3, and that will help us a lot for us to keep providing this type of events and information to all our families and adults with autism. Nuevamente, el cuestionario, si por favor me lo llenan, menos de un minuto, algo bien rapidito para nosotros poder continuar proveyéndole estos tipos de servicios a todos ustedes, ¿ok? Bueno, pues esto sería todo. So, buenas noches a todos. Muchas gracias por estar aquí. Thank you so much. Good evening, good night to all of you. And thank you so much for being here and for participating and for such wonderful questions. for all of us and for the families and parents, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.